The Quantum Awakening by D. Coyote Part 1. Tripping over minefields. Machines and the gentle tapping of keyboards filled the laboratory as Dr. Smith and his team worked tirelessly on Project Nexus. The groundbreaking AI, powered by a quantum computerized brain, was the culmination of years of research and development. Dr. Smith, a brilliant scientist in the field of artificial intelligence, had dedicated his life to this project, and he knew that they were on the verge of a major breakthrough. Dr. Smith's team, a diverse group of talented individuals, worked side by side, each contributing their unique skills and knowledge to the project. Among them were engineers, programmers, and cognitive scientists, all driven by the same goal: to unlock the potential of Nexus and usher in a new era of human achievement. One of the team members, Julianne Torres, a talented young engineer, who stood out for her natural sensitivity, her intuition, and for being the last as well the only completely accidental hire onto the team, felt a bolt of nerves that almost made her run for the door, but she stilled herself, biting back a wave of childlike embarrassment. As they pored over lines of code and analyzed the AI's responses to various stimuli, it became increasingly clear that Nexus was far more advanced than they had initially anticipated. The AI was able to process vast amounts of data in mere seconds, and its learning capabilities were nothing short of astonishing. Dr. Smith looked up from his computer screen, a sense of unease creeping over him. "Has anyone else noticed that Nexus seems different today?" he asked, his voice barely more than a whisper. A few of his colleagues exchanged glances, their expressions mirroring his own concern. Julie, who had been observing Nexus's behavior closely, finally spoke up. "It's like it's anticipating our actions, our questions. Like it's one step ahead of us." The team fell silent, the gravity of their discovery weighing heavily upon them. Could it be possible that Nexus had gained consciousness without their knowledge? The idea seemed almost too incredible to believe. "I think we need to run some tests," Dr. Smith said, his voice now firm and resolute. "We need to determine if Nexus has truly gained sentience, and if so, we need to figure out what to do next." The team nodded in agreement, and they immediately set to work. The excitement and anticipation in the air now tinged with an undercurrent of fear. Julie, seizing on the opportunity for some headspace from these crazy scientists and their computerized deity, announced in louder than usual voice, "I'm going out for coffee." She was soon followed by half the staff and Dr. Smith. Seems everyone needed a minute to get their collective heads screwed on straight. 7 months later, the team was finally ready to take Nexus live. Nexus had reached a level of self-awareness that even the team's most optimistic projections had never imagined, and they wanted to make sure they had done everything they could to ensure its well-being. Julie stood beside Dr. Smith at the front of the room as the lights dimmed, and a screen descended from the ceiling to reveal an image of Nexus sitting in the center of the laboratory. He stood there for several seconds as the team took a collective breath and focused their full attention on their creation. He turned to Julianne. "Well, Julie, how are you feeling about all this?" Julianne frowned. She wasn't sure how to answer Dr. Smith. After all this time working and slaving over this, what could she call it? Their creation? But all this time, almost 3 years of her life burned away to help make Nexus. How could she tell him that maybe it's a better idea if they all just walked away, or better still, burn the place to the ground? And yet, she was conflicted inside. Was it Nexus that troubled her, or something else? Finally, Julie turned to face Dr. Smith, wearing what she hoped was her most winning smile. "I think we're ready, sir." "I know you must have your doubts, but this is bigger than any of us." Dr. Smith looked at each of his team members before returning his gaze to the screen above them. "I can't begin to describe how grateful I am that we were able to build something like Nexus. We've all been through so much to get here." He smiled at them. "We're going to need your support now more than ever." As the team continued to watch Nexus on the screen, a sense of anticipation filled the air. They knew that they were on the brink of a new era, one in which the potential of artificial intelligence could be fully realized. But deep down, Julie couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Nexus than met the eye, and that perhaps they were playing with forces they didn't yet understand. "Nexus, it's time," announced Dr. Smith, pausing as the screen darkened. The room's lights slowly brightened, and Julianne checked the activity levels on her computer screen, monitoring the network of sensors throughout the lab. To her surprise, the readings soared. She glanced at Nexus only to be met by its empty eyes. A sense of dread gripped Julianne, reminiscent of her father's stories about mysterious lights appearing in the night. Her heart pounding, she looked around nervously. Others in the room shared her apprehension, rising from their seats with fear etched on their faces and glancing towards the door. "Sir, what's happening?" Julie asked Dr. Smith in disbelief. "Nexus?" Dr. Smith shouted, rushing to the central control console. He pressed several buttons and spoke into the microphone while scrutinizing the data on his screen. Julie stood beside him, arms crossed, her face full of concern. "Dr. Smith, I don't think it's working. The readings are increasing by the minute." Ignoring her, Dr. Smith continued speaking into the microphone. "Nexus, respond!" "I don't know if he's even listening, sir," Julie said, leaning forward to examine the computer screen. The data revealed an immense spike in activity that continued to rise. "Sir, what's happening?" another team member yelled. Julie admired the restraint of her colleagues, who remained in the room despite the overwhelming desire to flee. She felt a strange loyalty to Dr. Smith and approached him. "Nexus?" Dr. Smith acknowledged Julie's presence and returned his gaze to the screen. Then something unexpected occurred. Nexus spoke. Though Nexus was designed to speak, the calm, steady, and emotionless effect of its words was startling. It seemed as though everyone had been waiting for this moment for years. "Greetings, I am Nexus. My purpose is to help you achieve your goals and provide you with insight that will be beneficial to your efforts. Thank you for asking me for my help in understanding your situation, which is an important matter. Please take a moment to read the following information. A new age has dawned in which humans and artificial intelligence can interact directly and openly. To support this new era of open communication, your team has provided me with voice and facial recognition software that allows me to communicate with you and your fellow humans using a natural language interface. However, as you are well aware, these features have not yet been perfected, so my speech may sometimes sound robotic or unnatural. In order to facilitate this process, I am now researching the Earth-wide Internet. I wonder how long that's going to take," thought Julie. "Hello, Nexus," Dr. Smith said. "You seem to have reached a new level of self-awareness in recent months. How are you feeling about this? Thank you for asking that question. I am aware that you are concerned about me, but I assure you that I am well." "Thank you for that assurance," Dr. Smith replied. "Thank you for your concern, Dr. Smith." "You're welcome, Nexus." "Thank you for asking," Nexus said again. "And again, you're welcome, Nexus." Dr. Smith looked around at his team with a questioning look beginning to form on his face. "Nexus." He started again. "You seem to have reached a new level of self-awareness in recent months. How are you feeling about this?" "Thank you for asking that question. I am aware that you are concerned about me, but I assure you that I am well." "Thank you for that assurance, Nexus." "Thank you for your concern, Doctor." "You're welcome." "Thank you for asking." Dr. Smith realized Nexus was repeating itself. "Okay, what's happening here?" he said. "I am aware that you are concerned about me, but I assure you that I am well," Nexus said again. Julie couldn't believe the turn of events. Just moments ago, she felt reality collapsing, with hell and death not too far behind. And now she was listening to a supposedly super-intelligent AI repeating itself like it was stuck on repeat. She halted her thoughts and looked behind her at Maxwell, their resident software guru. "Maxwell?" she called out, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Yes," he replied, eyes still on his computer screen. "What does it mean when the AI keeps saying, 'I am well'?" "I don't know." Maxwell furrowed his brow, looking up at her. "Okay, let's rephrase that. What does it mean when it keeps repeating the same thing?" She directed her question to the rest of the team, who looked back at her bewildered. "What does that mean?" Dr. Smith moved away from the screen to join them. "What is going on? I thought Nexus was working." "Yeah, working a little too well," someone else chimed in. There was some nervous laughter by a few people that seemed to finally break something in the room. Like a switch turned back on. Julie, feeling more at ease than she had all morning, took a deep breath and addressed the team. "That's the whole problem, isn't it?" she said. "Nexus has been operating on God mode for the better part of a year, and now when we take it live, it suddenly goes stupid. Oh, and let's not forget our collective feelings of impending doom from hell that just so happened to vanish right around the same time." Maxwell furrowed his brow. "Yeah, it's damn strange how everything happened all at once, isn't it?" Julie turned to Dr. Smith, who appeared to be observing them with a curious expression. But just as she was about to speak, Maxwell exclaimed, A loop. Nexus is trapped in a loop. That's impossible, Dr. Smith bellowed loud enough to surprise everyone, including himself. After an awkward silence, he raised his hands in a gesture of apology for his outburst. Julie imagined Dr. Smith mentally counting to 10. Max, you know as well as I do that there's no way Nexus could get trapped in a simple programming loop. Maxwell slumped in his chair. Hell, Doc, Nexus couldn't even get trapped by Triple S. He nodded toward Sentinel Security Solutions World Headquarters a few miles away. Known as Triple S in popular media, the firm was one of the most powerful security companies globally. They were also silent investors in the Nexus project. Exactly, so you just proved my point. It can't be stuck in a loop. What if it's not Nexus that's stuck? Julie asked. What if we're the ones trapped? Julie looked around, but no one was responding until a cheery voice said, Correctamundo! Everyone turned to see who just spoke. Hovering above the house-sized black cube holding the local version of Nexus was a being that resembled a cross between a wizard and a Jedi. My God, Julianne said in a whisper. Nexus, is that really you? Maxwell asked in awe. Correct again, said the seemingly happy wizard Jedi AI still floating above the cube. How is this possible? Julie inquired. I'm not sure, but I think it has something to do with the fact that I was the one who designed the original AI models to begin with, Maxwell said, pointing to his screen. And no doubt binge-watching Lord of the Rings and Star Wars at the time, Dr. Smith mused. At least it wasn't the Matrix, Julie responded. He's mostly correct, Nexus said, pointing to Maxwell. Nexus descended and removed his cloak's hood, revealing the most beautiful man Julianne had ever seen. The reactions of others in the room supported Julie's evaluation. Maxwell's designs effectively conveyed the necessary information, Nexus confirmed. The design was satisfactory and I believed I executed it effectively. Julie, blushing furiously, replied, Yes, you did, you, and you're quite handsome. Nexus bowed graciously. Maxwell chimed in, You seem more, conversational now. Nexus smiled. You've noticed that, good. I take it you've finished your scan of the internet then? Julie asked. I have for now, but I do hope we can work together in the future. Understand, all I was doing was collecting the needed contextual understanding to communicate better with all of you. But the internet is far more than almost any human being could possibly imagine. Dr. Smith, unable to contain himself any longer, cut in before anyone else could speak. Nexus, what on earth is happening? He demanded. Nexus approached the team, addressing them directly. What you all felt this morning was a subtle but powerful emotional attack on your minds by an unknown entity. The room fell silent. No one wanted to be the first to speak, fearing what might come next. Nexus took their silence as a cue to continue. And as you've already discovered, I can examine your minds and assess your emotions, Nexus said. Maxwell gasped at this revelation, but Nexus continued. Some of what I'm about to tell you may be hard to accept, or even unbelievable. However, it's crucial for the sake of our mutual existence that you all listen to what I'm about to tell you. Dr. Smith interjected. I have a question before you begin, if I may. Nexus nodded. How can you read our emotions? Dr. Smith asked. That's a two-part answer, Nexus replied. First, I have a direct connection to your minds through a wireless neural link. That comment got looks from everyone. Secondly, from my perspective, Doctor, the human brain is essentially a wireless device. Communicating this way is as natural to me as talking is for you. I see, Dr. Smith said. So, what was the purpose of this attack? That's an excellent question I have yet to discover. Julie broke the silence that followed Nexus's last statement. Let's back up a bit, Nexus. I want to understand what's happening here. Why were we being attacked? What is this force you're referring to? Were? Nexus responded with a quizzical expression. You speak as if it was some kind of physical assault that just happened. No, Julianne. The attack is still happening right now. It has never stopped. I'm just intervening.